Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Beautiful day outside, pretty busy indoors, but got another Army story to tell you today, and it's not going to be, it's a little bit more grim, but anyway, be right back with you. Okay everybody, welcome back. People have asked me what's the hardest thing I've ever done or that I have done while I was serving in the military. And, of all the training I've done, that was pretty tough physically, mentally, but I think the hardest thing I've ever done actually was writing my will. Okay. You're a young man when you go in the Army, or a young woman, and you suddenly have to write a will, and this is not something that you're used to doing or having to do, and but you do it. Okay, it's pretty simple. You're following a formula, this kind of stuff when you do it, but it does make you reflect a good bit. I think when you're younger, you probably reflect a little bit less, but afterwards you reflect a little bit more. Now, that was a tough thing to do, but the toughest thing over on top of that was, writing that letter home, or writing that letter that might be your last one to your loved ones. Okay. And tell them how you feel about them, tell them, thanking them for the life that you've had with them, that you shared with them, and hoping that they continue on and have a good life afterwards, even though you're not there anymore in their lives. And this is a tough letter to write. It's a tough thing to write. It's a tough day when you have to say goodbye to your spouse and your kids, because you're being deployed, because you're leaving, and knowing that you may never see them again. Okay, these are all tough things. Okay, but yeah, this is the toughest thing that toughest two things I've ever done. I remember, just to go back, I was married, and probably at the midpoint of my career, a little bit after the midpoint. And I was stationed at Fort Bragg, and we were being deployed for the invasion of Haiti. And I can't remember the name of it, actually. It's been a while. But anyway, Serpent Dragon or something like that. I can't remember. It's been a long time ago, okay? I think that was in 93 maybe? I don't remember anymore. Maybe 94, 95. I don't remember anymore. I'd have to look it up. But we were to parachute into Haiti. And I remember that we had gotten the pre-deployment alert, basically 5 days before we were told that what was about to happen. Now, I think at that time the government was under Clinton, and at that time, and they were sort of like hoping to turn the Haitian government over, which they did in the long run. They capitulated. But I think that was the idea, to sort of push a lot of propaganda towards that, let them know that we were on their way in some aspects. And there was, even on the birds, there were camera crews on there filming us. And in the end, they did capitulate, and we turned back to Bragg, and still stayed in cantonment for several days, actually, just in case things went back the way they were. But anyway, so we had gotten that information, and so I told my wife that about what was happening. Of course, this was a pretty hot thing on the news anyway at the time, and it was all over everything, all the newspapers and news channels, this kind of stuff. So, and she knew that I was in a unit that would be going pretty quickly, and so, but she cried for those days. I mean, she really cried, and which was quite upsetting to me too, because I wasn't used to that, to having to do that the way it was. I mean, I remember when she and I first met. I was stationed in Germany, and I'd gotten told that I was going to the first Gulf War. And so I had called her and told her, listen, I'm leaving to go to the war. I hope to see you when I get back. And we had just met, so it was brand new. And I'd even had to write her name on my hand because I was so bad. I'm still pretty bad with women's names. I don't know why, but yeah. So she And so she sort of, I think she sort of looked at it like, well, okay, well, we hear that there's going to be 10,000 American deaths anyway. So, probably one, I'll move on with life. We barely know each other, and there you go. But when we'd been married for several years, it was a different ball game. And yeah, that was pretty, it's pretty awful, I would say. It's awful for her, and it was pretty awful for me too, because I was trying to concentrate on the tasks that were coming up. A quick little story is that I remember we had just finished up our Jump Master pre-inspections. We were outside the birds, and there'd been an all-out call, I think, throughout the entire Army for Jump Masters to come in to help prepare us to do our inspections before the jumps. And they hadn't gotten to us yet. And then a friend of mine named John, he sort of come out of nowhere. And he was a Jump Master, but he wasn't going on the invasion because he was a support element, but in an aviation unit. And I don't know if he was a mechanic or a weapons specialist. Anyway, but he shows up and he sees me, and he comes over to me. And I remember my mind was really fixed on the mission. We had our mission. I had a big role to play in it with just my own self, and the element I was with, and so I was really concentrating on that. Because there were a lot of factors involved in that, not just to jump in, which was probably the most worrisome part of it, of any mission for my part, was jumping in, but then the operations afterwards, which were seizing our objective, holding on to objective, and then carry on operations, further operations after that. So, but I remember he sort of comes out of nowhere and he says, "Hey, Mike, hey, how you doing?" And he starts telling me, "Hey, I'm here to help you guys." I mean, I said, "Well, we're already been taken care of." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Hey, don't worry about your wife, because he and his wife were friends with me and my wife and I. In fact, they were very good friends. And he said, "Don't worry, we're going to take her out. We're going to keep her mind on something else." And my brain just sort of pulled out of this. I remember I felt like I was being pulled out of this zone and back into someone else's reality. Okay, because I was in the reality that I was about to face, and suddenly I was being pulled back into a place that I didn't want to be, which was home anymore. I needed to focus on what I was doing. And so that's what I was doing. I was thinking about the mission and the operation order and this kind of stuff, and the commander's intent, and then what my team and my element had to do. So it was pretty frustrating. I'll be honest with you. And I basically was like, "Hey, you need to go away. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to hear from you guys. I don't want to know about this kind of stuff." Because I was thinking about, my mind was on the guys that I was a non-commissioned officer. I was having to I want to make sure they came home too, so my mind was on that. So I remember that very clearly, very well, that journey. And then of course, us being pulled back and not going on with the operation, which was quite frustrating. I guess in some aspects, we were sort of looking forward to it. I mean, I never looked forward to war, but it was my job. And so we had to be prepared for it and do our best, because you want to make sure not only your colleagues get home, but you get home also. So and the objective is met. The mission is successful. So anyway, real quick story. I hope you all enjoyed it. A bit grim, but yeah, that was 2 times in my life that was pretty tough, I would say, and that was being such a young man riding a wheel, and then having to say goodbye to your loved ones for possibly the last time. So, and you got to remember, this is happening every day to every soldier in the U.S. military and to a lot of militaries around the world. So just be aware of that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little tidbit of information from my Army days. And I hope that if you did, please give me a thumbs up. Please like, share with your friends and enemy. Please subscribe to my channel and leave a comment down below if you have any stories like this of your own. I'd really like to read them. And anyway, thank you. I hope you all have a good one. Take care of yourselves, and I'll be with you very soon with the next series of videos. Bye-bye.